And it's only 100 pages, but it was the best 100 pages of my life, and I'm not even being dramatic. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be filming my monthly reading wrap up for the month of June. I had a bad start to the month in terms of reading. I was in the biggest reading slump and I couldn't read anything, and then I had a really good end to the month. Like, I read 10 books this month, which is really good for me, honestly, and I read some really good books. And yeah, first off, I just want to announce I got Invisalign a couple of days ago, so if I'm speaking a bit funny, that's why. When I say things that have like a th or like an s, or start with an s or end with an s, you can really hear like a lisp, and so until I get used to it I'm going to be sounding like that. And so yeah, so that's, if I'm speaking funny, that's why. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into all the books that I read in the month of June. Starting off with the two books that I didn't finish this month. I didn't DNF them officially because I definitely want to come back and read them, because these are two very hyped up books. Well, one's very hyped and one is a part of a series that I really want to read by one of my favourite authors. And so I was in the biggest reading slump. I read Beach Read by Emily Henry. You guys know I love Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which is her most recent release. People We Meet on Vacation, not my favourite, don't really like it. This one started off obviously slow, like most Emily Henry books do for me, and then I got into it. I was really enjoying the relationship between, or the romance between Gus and January, and then it just got boring. Like, I don't know, if I was just bored. Like, I feel like Emily Henry books can be hit and miss for me, just because they are more literary fiction than romance, but they're still romance obviously, but they do incorporate that aspect of literary fiction, which some people love. Personally, not for me. But I really love the relationship between them, so I do want to finish it. I have probably about less than 100 pages left, but it was putting me in a reading slump and I just wasn't enjoying it. I didn't want to pick it up and I didn't want to read it, so I put it down and I tried to read Rival by Penelope Douglas, which is the second book in the Four-Way series. I read Bully last year, I think, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite, it wasn't my least favorite, but I still really enjoyed it. And this I got about halfway through and I just wasn't enjoying it. I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the romance, I didn't like the plot. I just wasn't liking it at all, and I don't know if that's because I was in a reading slump or just because I genuinely wasn't clicking with the book. But I really like Maddox's character and I loved him in the first book, but I just wasn't liking the romance between him and Fallon. I just didn't like feel it. I wasn't liking her character. I wasn't really liking anything about the book, and so I just put it down and I was like, maybe we'll come back to it, because I really want to love this series. Like, I really want to read it. Plus Penelope Douglas is one of my favourite authors of all time. But yeah, I just was in a slump, couldn't read anything, and then I read Love Machine by Kendall Ryan, which is a very short, spicy novella. And I thought maybe if I just read something fun and spicy, I'll, you know, it'll get me out of that reading slump. I gave this one 3 stars. Obviously there wasn't a ton of plot, it was more just spice, and but I did really enjoy it. And this is basically about Slate and Keaton, and Keaton is, I think she's like struggling in like the love department, and she, like, one night her and her best friend Slate have like a one-night stand or something, and then they decide to become like friends with benefits because they're like best friends, but they don't want to ruin their friendship, but they also are really enjoying each other, so they decide to have friends with benefits, and then that slowly turns into more. And when I say slowly, I don't mean slowly at all, because it's literally, I think this book's like 100 pages. And yeah, it was fun, it was spicy, it like caught my attention, and I think it was free, so if you want to read it, go ahead, because it's literally free on Kindle, I'm pretty sure. If you sign up to Kendall Ryan's newsletter or something, you get it for free. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars, nothing overly special, but it was a fun, spicy read that did help me a little bit to get out of that reading slump. But you guys know when I'm in a reading slump, I always read Colleen Hoover, so that's exactly what I did. I read the last 2 books in the little series. I reread All Your Perfects, which is one of my all-time favourite books. I love All Your Perfects, Graham and Quinn, everything. And then I read Finding Perfect, which is the little novella that connects All Your Perfects to the Hopeless series, and you guys know I love the Hopeless series. This book was everything, but we'll talk about Your Perfects first. Of course, 5 million infinity stars. Cannot rate this book enough. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's amazing. I love it. They also have new covers. I think it has like a daisy on it, maybe. Could be wrong. but I actually don't mind this cover. I like the colours, like it's fun. So basically this is about Quinn and Graham, and you get past and present timelines. So in the past, you're seeing them meeting for the first time and falling in love for the first time, and then in the present timeline, you fast forward 7 years, they've been married for 7 years and they are struggling in their marriage because they're struggling with something. The love is still there, but this thing is kind of tearing them apart. And I love this book. I just love the past and present timeline. It honestly gives you whiplash because you're like watching them fall in love and then you're watching them fall apart, and it just like messes with your head, but it's so freaking good. And Graham is everything. I love him. And then I read Finding Perfect, which literally made my life that much better, because if you have read all your perfects and you haven't read the Hopeless series, read the Hopeless series so you can read Finding Perfect, because I'm telling you, it'll make you the happiest person ever if you love all your perfects and if you're rooting for Quinn and Graham, because this literally just made me so happy. Why did I hold off reading it for so long? I literally can't tell you anything about it other than the fact that it connects Hopeless and all your perfects, and it makes everything that you went through in all your perfects like that much more worth it for this book, because Quinn and Graham deserve nothing but happiness, and they get their happiness at the end of all your perfects, but this is like the true happiness for them, and it makes me so happy. And I literally loved it. 5 stars, even though it's super short. It's literally like 100 pages. Like I said, it's only 100 pages, but it was the best 100 pages of my life, and I'm not even being dramatic. Like, it was everything. Go read it if you haven't already, and just like, you need to. Like, go read it. Amazing, stunning, perfect, beautiful, love of my life. I'm obsessed. Okay, and then I read Every After Summer by Carly Fortune. I hate that this cover does not have the pretty calligraphy on the front. The cover is exactly the same as the American one, except we don't get the pretty calligraphy. Besides the point, this is a friends to lovers second chance romance. You guys know I'm a sucker for that. I love that trope, told in past and present timelines. I actually tabbed this one, which was super fun. I really enjoyed doing it. I think I'm gonna start doing it more. But basically this is like Love in Other Words, but like a little bit different. It's like Love in Other Words sister. Like, it's different, but it's like the same kind of plot. So if you love Love in Other Words, you'll love this book. It's about Percy and Sam, and basically Percy's family gets a holiday house, and it ends up being like right next door to Sam's home, and they meet and they become fast friends, and they go up there every summer. And it's not like every summer, it's like they go up there for like holidays as well, for like Thanksgiving or like Christmas, or they just go up there throughout the year, whereas in Love in Other Words it's like obviously just the summers. But I really liked that they went up there a lot more, and obviously they start developing feelings for each other, and slowly it turns into more, but then something happens and you fast forward, I think is it 5 years later, 15 years later, I don't know, some amount of time later, and they haven't spoken in a very, very long time, and then something happens that brings Percy back to the holiday home and back into Sam's life, and they meet again, and that love that they have is still there, and you know, they slowly fall back in love, like get that friendship back and then fall back in love, and you obviously are slowly building up to what happened all those years ago to make them fall apart. And it was kind of like something I didn't see coming and wasn't expecting, but it was really, really good. I gave it 4.5 stars, only because Percy did get on my nerves a little bit, but other than that I really, really loved it, and it was really, really good. And Sam is literally the sweetest, and I just really loved the book. And like I said, if you love Love in Other Words, you will love this one. The next books that I read are the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I borrowed this off one of my friends, so I don't have the physical copy with me, but I'll put the photo on the screen. I read this in anticipation for the TV show. I loved the TV show, so good. Team Conrad all the way. Christopher Bailey, everything, but Gavin, who plays Jeremiah, is also really, really hot. And honestly, Cam Cameron, the actor who plays him, also really attractive. So like, the Team Conrad all the way. Conrad and Belly forever. I love them, enough said. But yeah, so the first book is The Summer I Turned Pretty, and then the second book is It's Not Summer Without You, and then the third book is We'll Always Have Summer. I gave the first book 4 stars, the second book 3 stars, and the third book 3 stars. I really, really enjoyed the first book, although I will say there wasn't enough romance for my liking. Like, I feel like she was just with Cam for too long, and I'm like, is this a love square or a love triangle between the brothers? But yeah, and then the second book, literally, basically nothing happened. Except this one big thing that like that was just like really like sudden, And then the third book frustrated the heck out of me because there was a character that just did some things that I didn't agree with and basically completely changed his like personality, and I didn't really like that. And then the ending was just kind of rushed, like really rushed. But I loved the TV show. The TV show, everything, and I'm not gonna lie, I may have liked it better than the books. Controversial, I know. I really love the TV show, but besides the point. I'm Team Comrade. I'm not going to tell you whether I'm happy or not with the ending because I don't want to spoil anything, but basically this is about Belly, our main character, and she's been going to Cousins Beach for years, ever since she was like a baby, and she's been best friends with Comrade and Jeremiah, who are the two sons of Susanna, who is her mum's best friend, and the holiday house that they stay at when they're up there. And her and her brother Stephen have been like really close with Jeremiah and Comrade, but she's always been in love with Comrade. And then one summer she's just turned, I think she's turning 16, and it's the summer that she turned pretty essentially, and where, you know, she feels her most confident and the boys start to, you know, notice her a bit more. She's got her braces off, she doesn't wear her glasses, like things like that. And basically both boys are in love with her, and it's a love triangle. And you guys know I hate love triangles, but this wasn't actually that bad. But I will say that Belly got on my nerves, like so badly, and I kept forgetting that she was, you know, obviously 16, like 15, 16 throughout majority of the first book. And so I was like, she's acting immature, but she's not a very mature person because she's not, like, she's quite young, but I kept forgetting it. But in the show, she was a lot more mature. Anyway, but yeah, I really did enjoy these books, and I feel like if I read them when I was like younger, like they would have been everything to me. Like I would have been obsessed. Or if I read them right after, like I read After by Anna Todd, then I would have been like obsessed. But like they are YA, I did really enjoy them. They're just fun summer reads, and yeah, I really enjoyed the first book. I think is probably my favorite. The next book that I read is So Not Meant to Be by Megan Quinn. This is the second book in the series, Not So Me Cute, which I really love that book. And the second book follows the guy from the first book's brother, JP, and you see JP in the first book and you see him kind of have this little connection with Lottie from the first book's sister, Kelsey, and they kind of have like a little connection, and then they obviously get their own book, and then the third book's going to be about the third brother, which I can't wait for. But this book was so freaking good. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. It's boy obsessed trope hardcore. Like JP is like in love with this girl. Like he is obsessed with her. It's definitely boy falls first, and it's enemies to lovers. So basically JP and Kelsey do not like each other. Well, she doesn't like him because she thinks that he's just this like playboy who just parties and like can't be taken seriously essentially. And JP's character, I honestly love him. He's so funny, and he's just super sweet. And this book was hilarious. Like I was laughing out loud so much. Like I remember I was reading it I was with my mum and we were waiting to pick up our food, and like it was like a restaurant, we were getting like takeaway, and I was reading the book while we were waiting, and I was like literally trying so hard not to laugh, and my mum was like, are you like good? And I was just like laughing so bad, and then people were just like staring at me, but it was so funny. Like I couldn't like keep it contained because it was hilarious. But basically it follows JP and Kelsey. They do not like each other, but they work together. He's essentially like her boss. He kind of runs her, like she has her own company that she works for like them, but he like supervises her like area, and they have to go on this trip or something to work together, and so it's forced proximity. They're around each other a lot, they don't like each other, but they're super sexually attracted to each other. You know, eventually things happen, and it's super cute. I loved it. Hilarious. If you're looking for something funny and spicy but with amazing plot, read this, and read Not So Me Cute, which is fake dating. So good. But I love it, and like I said, hilarious. Like rom-coms can be hit and miss for me because a lot of the time they're not funny. They're just not funny, but Megan Quinn does rom-coms really well, and they're hilarious and not cringy. But 5 stars, so good. Amazing. Next book that I read was Give Me More by Sarah Kate. This is the 3rd book in the Scandalous Players Club series. I read the first 2 books last month and I absolutely loved them, and this is the 3rd book and I think it's my favorite. I gave it 4.75 stars. So good. Amazing. This follows Hunter, Drake and Isabel, and it is a threesome polygamous relationship book, and you kind of get hints about it in the first 2 books. You kind of can sense their like chemistry, but basically Hunter and Isabel have been married for years, and they are like so in love, obsessed with each other, amazing, love it. And Drake is Hunter's best friend, and he's basically like their constant third wheel. He's kind of already a part of their relationship without getting any of the benefits that you would get in a relationship, like any of the physical benefits, but he's basically, he like is with them all the time. And then Hunter kind of goes to Drake one day and he's like, hey, I want you to fuck my wife and I want to watch. And Drake's like, what? Like, I cannot do that. Like, Drake's bisexual and he is like obviously into girls and guys, but he's super attracted to Isabel and always has been. And so he's like, I want to, but like I don't want to ruin the marriage, I don't want to ruin anything. Eventually things happen, and then eventually it turns into a little like threesome, and then eventually they all fall in love and it turns into a polygamous relationship. And honestly, the best book ever. Like, it was so freaking good. The spice, stunning. These books are so steamy. The smut is top tier, but they have plot and it's so good and phenomenal. Drake and Hunter, everything. Hunter and Isabel, everything. The way Hunter treats Isabel is stunning, and just like the spice was just phenomenal. Like, I can't preach it enough. I'm so excited for the last book in the series, Mercy, because it's going to be something super different and I'm really excited for it. The book was just so good. Go read it right now if you're looking for something steamy but that has plot. These 3 books in the series are so good. The last book that I read this month was Ghosted by J.M. I don't know, I can't read my own handwriting. J.M. something. And this book is a second chance romance, single parent. And you guys know I'm a sucker for single parent, so I had to pick this one up. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it and I enjoyed the characters, but like it just took me a really long time to read. Like, I found myself not really wanting to pick it up sometimes, but then like when I was reading it I was really enjoying myself, if that makes sense. But yeah, so this is about Kennedy and Jonathan, and basically they met in high school and kind of fell in love, and then everything kind of went wrong, and he was an aspiring actor, and then he kind of blew up and became this really famous actor who plays this superhero in these movies. And basically fast forward, I don't even know how many years later, quite a few years later, and I think his movie's filming in the area where Kennedy lives, and Kennedy has a daughter, and I'm not going to really tell you much more about that, but basically her daughter loves his superhero character and thinks of the world of him. And so they end up like meeting again, and her daughter's like, oh my god, like that's Breezo, who's like the superhero character. And then he slowly, you know, comes back into her life and they fall in love again, and it's really good. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars, but I did really enjoy this one. You guys know I'm a sucker for a good second chance romance, especially when it's single parent. Like, can't go wrong. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and that is the last book that I read this month. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.